Hey folks, welcome back to the Beer Wrench Garage, and I'm excited today to talk about the brand new Icon modular general service set socket set. This particular one is in a 1/4-inch drive, and as far as I know, it just came out. Every Tuesday, Harbor Freight sends out the what new tool email, and I saw this and I was like, oh my gosh. I'm actually in the middle of a project doing the timing belt on my 4Runner. Actually have the timing belt on. I'm getting ready to button things up. And if you've ever worked on Toyotas, you know that 12, 14, and 10 are very, very common sets, or very common sizes of fasteners. And so as I was doing this project here, I'm actually waiting on parts to arrive. But as I was doing this project here, I was like, gosh, 3/8 is fine, but it'd be really nice to have a 1/4-inch, an easily accessible 1/4-inch drive set. And lo and behold, I got the email that Icon had come out with this, like new set. I guess it's supposed to be modular, like it's supposed to be part of a system. And I was like, well, it's not like I don't have plenty of sockets, but I just can't help it. I'm kind of like a tool fiend. I'm going to go grab this and just give you my thoughts on it. So I'm sure people will be curious to see how these things look and feel. And so if you'll spend the next few minutes here with me, I'll go ahead and give you my thoughts. So as you might know from my other videos or just seeing me work in general, I'm a pretty big fan of Icon. I have a lot of Icon stuff. Some of their stuff is incredible value for what it is. Others of their things like the wrenches and sockets I've kind of shied away from for a little bit because they are somewhat pricey. This set just came out and retails for $99.99, and pretty much after tax or whatnot, it's $110. Come on in, we'll take a close look at it, and we'll open it up. All right, so as you can see, this is typical Icon packaging. It's a 48-piece set. It's metric and standard 1/4-inch drive. We'll go ahead and open the box up. The all popular unboxing. They certainly boxed it pretty, what I was saying is they certainly boxed it pretty stout. So there's no issues on the safety and security of their boxing here. It was legit. Once you have the box loose, the case comes out. The case comes out, and it's a rugged, solid case. I thought that this was going to have a handle, and I'm a little bit disappointed that it doesn't have a handle right here. I think maybe the 3/8 drive one had a handle, and so this gets me a little bit, I'm a little disappointed on that. Let's go ahead and open it up. As you can see, it's basically the kind of high quality Icon fit and finish that we've come to be accustomed to over the last couple years. So your ratchet is a standard 92 6-inch low profile ratchet. The fit and finish of it feels great. Selector, nice and crisp. No issue with that. Okay. Comes with a U-joint and a small extension. I think this is a 2-inch. And a 6-inch extension. Extensions feel solid, and they have the knurling. I really can't stand extensions without knurling. That comes into that's very helpful when your hands are greasy or otherwise dirty, and you're trying to spin the extension with your fingers or with your gloves, and the knurling helps a lot. Of course, the ratchet has an Icon logo on it. Solid looking ratchet. So to look at the sockets, On the metric side, you got from 5 to 14, both long and short. No skips. The sockets have knurling on the base, and the sizes are inscribed on the bottom here. Can't really see the size. You have to look close, but the knurling is there, which is a big deal. Again, pulling sockets off when your hands are greasy or slippery. So you got 5, 5.5, and then single size 6 to 14 on the metric side. On the standard side, you got 5/32 to 9/16. Now, the tray that the tools come in, it comes in 3 layers where you can remove this and put it on a cart or in a toolbox drawer. So you got the foam inserts. That is a big plus, and it's again for each 3 of these right here. So you can, that's I guess what they mean by modular. You can take that out and put it in your toolbox. The other thing of note is, if you can see, this case has a removable, let's see how that comes out, appears to have a removable pin here. When that pin comes out on one side, and I'm assuming it'll go easier after you do this a couple times, and it comes out on the next side, and now you have this separate case that can go into your toolbox or wherever you need to store it, within a drawer, a cart, a box, or whatever the case might be. So you got a little bit of utility with that. That's kind of unique and neat. And if that's a big deal for you, you certainly have that. Again, I bought it because I would like to have, in these situations where I'm dealing with certain size fasteners and space is a consideration, I want to be able to have a set of sockets. You know, I would love if this would go up to 15, but it doesn't. But even then, again, when like you're working on Toyota, so 14s, 12s, 10s are going to be big, you know, primary sizes. So to have a little self-contained kit like this is a big deal, especially if you're in your garage and it just prevents you from having to get up and grab a tool off the cart or the toolbox. You have this ready. Also, if you're mobile, this would be a big deal. Again, if you're working on these particular sizes, take a much lighter set of tools with you off of the truck to go do what your job is, or what your specific project is. So these are all things to consider. Now, some of the cool things for this particular set of sockets that really set it apart maybe from some other things is, so the sockets themselves, the long sockets, have shallow hex depth on the opening to ensure that the fastener is secure at the end of the deep socket. I guess you get more leverage, or sometimes when you have a fastener that's slightly smaller than the socket, the socket will like slide over it. Here you got this this shallow depth where you got the socket sitting on top of it at all times. I don't know if that's a huge feature, but it'd be interesting to see how that works during use. So one thing to note on that. The fit and finish again is really good, superior. It feels like pretty thin-walled. Let me grab another set of 1/4" sockets to compare against real quick. All right, folks. So I got myself a set of Top Tool 1/4" sockets. I love this Top Tool brand. It's Taiwanese. You don't see a whole lot of them around, but if you want to find them online, you can. You got a tried and true gear wrench. I think these are like mid-length sockets. I don't know why I don't use these more often. They are so awesome, but they just sit in the back of the toolbox. And then I got like my kind of go-to. I don't know if it's my go-to, but this is like my junkyard kind of deal with the Duralast. I think I got these. These are the AutoZone house brand Duralast. I got these probably, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago on a Black Friday sale for like 20 bucks. And as you can see, they have tons of use. But let's go ahead and compare and see how these things stack up socket-wise. So I have top tool, gear wrench, and Duralast. And let me give you some idea of what the issues are here. I love top tool, no issues with that. I love gear wrench. These are mid-length sockets. I don't use them because they kind of sit in the back. And then the Duralast, which is my junkyard set, like I told you, it only goes to 12, all right? Otherwise, if it went to 14 or even 15, I'd be thrilled with it. If I could get the set to 15, I would love it. But it only goes to 12, and it's a pain in the butt. So that's what prompted me to get this icon set, because at least I get to 14. Anyway, so because the Duralast doesn't get to any higher than 12, let's just take the 10 of each, the 10 millimeter of each set, and compare them. Okay, that way we kind of have a as fair as possible comparison. All right, we got Icon, Duralast, top tool, and gear wrench. If you look at the tops, you can instantly tell that the Icon is one of the skinnier ones, like skinny, thin wall ones. And obviously the thinner the wall, the more, utility you have. You can instantly also tell with the Icon, you got the shallow hex step. The other ones don't, except for the gear wrench. But even then, the gear wrench is a shorter socket, but even then it's much deeper than the Icon. So that is an interesting feature to have. Let me go ahead and grab the calipers real quick so we can measure the thinness or the thickness. You can tell the Icon's pretty thin. I'm curious where the Duralast and the top tool are. All right, so let me grab that real quick. All right, so starting off with the Icon, if you find the narrowest part of the socket, like the crease of the hex, you get about 0.97. Same thing with the Duralast. Let's try that. The crease of the hex. .01. The top tool looks pretty thick. Let's try that. Yeah, like 1.39 for the top tool. And then the gear wrench is the last one. That's also pretty thick at 1.31. Now, let's look at the outside diameter. Again, we're going to start with the Icon. And so the 10 millimeter socket has a 13.7 millimeter thickness. The Duralast 10 millimeter, same, 13.7, 13.69. Whew. The top tool is not joking around, guys. .46 for the top tool, so that's kind of hefty. And then the gear wrench, 14.3. Wow. So interestingly, Icon and Duralast are significantly smaller on the 10 mil right there than gear wrench and top tool. That's really interesting. Now, this kind of goes back to, if we kind of take a look at the ratchets, the Duralast and the Icon, very similar, at least in exterior design. Now, I think the old Duralast is a 72 tooth. This is 90 tooth. But they're both, and some will say, intentionally, but they both appear to have their roots in the older Snap-on tools, and that might kind of speak to their design as far as the sockets being a little bit skinnier. People always say that the Duralast is kind of like a knockoff of Snap-on, like a poor man's version of Snap-on. And then Icon is kind of also trying to step up its game to be sort of Snap-on light. And so that might lead to this philosophy of thinner sockets. And so thinness on the sockets, it's really not a concern. It is a concern as far as you want as thin as possible to maximize the ability to get into tight spaces. But of course, when you give up material, you give up strength. However, with 1/4-inch sockets, that's really not that big of a concern because you're typically not going to be pounding lots of torque through them. So if it breaks, it's likely not going to break. On bigger size sockets, you know, the thinner you get, the more material you give up, might be more of a concern. Anyway, so I think that's really the cool features of the Icon. I'll go ahead and give it a whirl with real life conditions and see how that works out. I don't anticipate any type of issue with that, but let me tell you how it feels in use, and then we'll wrap up the video. All right, folks, so let's give this a whirl and see how this feels, right? Like I said, Toyotas are going to do lots of 12s and 14s, and let's run a couple bolts in and see what it feels like. All right, believe this is 14, and this is actually a good, this is 12. This is a good test for our shallow hex because as you see, there's a very long bolt, and we'll see how the socket maintains a hold on it. Okay. All right, the engagement is great. Nice. It feels good in the hand. The socket feels secure on the bolt, and it feels nice and solid, like no issues. Exactly what you would expect. All right, let's give these guys a whirl. Let's see how it does with a nut. Again, with a nut like this, you're not going to have any. This is actually ideal for a situation like this, right? So if you see that nut right there, it's great. You got secure engagement of the socket with the shallow hex portion, but you still get to use the length of the socket as a stud goes in the center part. It's not going to interfere with this situation of putting a nut over a stud. Pretty good. So yeah, that looks solid, feels great, good engagement, no complaints on that end. Well, folks, so at the end of the day, what's my verdict on this? I give it a thumbs up. Would I recommend that you buy it? Yes, I would. This solid set, especially if you're like a younger professional in the industry, like you work on cars for a living, this is really good. Good quality, good utility. And the cool thing about this is you get a high level of quality, but if you need any type of replacement, you have your Harbor Freight Icon lifetime guarantee. And just about everybody in the civilized world, at least in the United States, lives within a driving distance of Harbor Freight, so you can get anything you need replaced. Now, mind you, they have the 3/8 set coming out, and my store didn't have it in stock, and honestly I have so many 3/8 sets and sockets that I just didn't need another one, so I kind of dodged the bullet on that. But if you need tools and you're a serious DIYer or a professional, this won't break the bank. It's not cheap, but it's also not Snap-on pricey, and you get a lot of quality. So yes, I will say a good thumbs up. One thing I do not like is I thought it was going to have a carry handle, and I'm really disappointed. The case itself is pretty light, but it's bulky, and a carry handle would have been really a big deal. So, you know, maybe future versions will have that. But otherwise, those are my thoughts on it. I'm going to hang on to it and use it. I like it. I like Icon, and we'll see how it works out. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Let me know what your thoughts are, what your comments are, what you think of Icon in general and or this specific tool set. And please subscribe if you haven't already done so. I have tons of other reviews on and videos on tools, cars, and just my thoughts on tools and cars. All right, take care, and I will see you on the next video.